Welcome everybody to the Check-In Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Perez. Welcome. This podcast is going to be centered around mental health. I'm making this podcast to make a safe space for people that go through these issues every day or whenever it is, honestly. But this podcast is going to be definitely centered around mental health and just the daily struggles of what it's like to be going through those things, myself included. This is something that needs to be, in my opinion, needs to be spoken about more. And I figured I'd take it to a platform where I can create this kind of safe space for people like of me or anybody else that goes through these things on a daily basis. But one quick thing before we start. I want to give a huge shout out to Justin. Definitely, he helped me out with the setup and with the idea and everything. He definitely helped my vision come to life. Shout out my friends, Rob, Justin. I said Justin already. Rob, George, Zach. They all helped me out with this. Shout out my girlfriend. She definitely supported me through it when I came with the idea. And huge shout out to Danny Lopiori. Danny, you're definitely one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this podcast. You inspire me every single day with the way you handle your mental health and the way you go about talking about it in your podcast. So I kind of just wanted to not do the same thing, but just like be another voice and just spread the awareness for this kind of thing, But today's episode is just going to be like an icebreaker. So I'm going to talk about my struggles with my mental health and then things that I've done to help myself in those ways. So I haven't really been dealing with well, first and foremost, I have anxiety and like severe panic. I go through that like on a daily. It's like this for me every single day. I guess I have like health anxiety because I'm always worried about like my health, like my heart or like my head or whatever it is. But most of the time I'm always just like kind of anxious when I like feel certain things. And it all started in January of this year, actually. I had my first panic attack and it was like, I can't even describe to you how awful that feeling was. Like, I really thought that was going to be my last day here. So what had happened was I was laying down in my bed watching Attack on Titan. It was like one of the first kind of episodes. People that watch it know what I'm talking about. That shit was crazy. And I guess like the excitement from the episode kind of just like started to make my heart race. And I noticed it. Like, I noticed what was going on, and I was like, I kind of like, I feel my heart racing, but it wasn't like anything different, like my heart's always like kind of going fast or whatever. So I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Like, I'm going to try to control it. I'm going to breathe through it. I'm going to try to control it, whatever, like I normally do. And then it got so fast to like the point where like I felt like it stopped. And then like once that happened, it was like I kind of just started freaking out. Like, I thought like my heart stopped and I thought I was going to like die right there. So I got up and I ran to my roommates. Jessica and Angel. And I was like, yo, like something's wrong with me. And they didn't believe me at first. And I was like, nah, like I'm like, bro, like no lie. Like I'm about to drop dead right here, and I had to go to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, they told me that I was fine. They ran all these tests, blood tests, x-ray. They wanted to do a CAT scan, all of that. And at the end of it all, they were like, you're fine. And I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. Like, when you go through these things and these feelings, you know what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like something was wrong, but it was nothing. Like, and after that, it just kind of continued. I've had panic attacks while I was driving. The first time I had a panic attack while I was driving, I was driving to Connecticut for a family function or whatever. And I guess since I was by myself, I kind of just I already felt anxious. So I'm driving and I'm fine. I'm listening to music, bumping, and all of a sudden I start getting anxious. And at this point, I already like had kind of I already knew like what it was with my anxiety. Like I already knew I had anxiety because I've had panic attacks before, so like I already knew what it was, and it kind of just made me anxious. But that panic attack was the first time I ever like felt like physically like felt it, meaning like I got numb. Like you get the when you get numb and you get those tingly feeling around your hands, or like I felt it in my head. My whole body just went numb while I was driving, and I freaked out. Like I didn't know what to do. I thought my body was shutting down. That's pretty much what like was going through my head in the moment. I had to get out of my car and I had to pace back and forth just to get like my head back like centered. You know what I mean? Like because when you're going through these things in the moment, all you know is the feelings. You don't really take the moment to realize like, oh, this is my anxiety. Like I'm gonna be fine. Like this is only temporary. Like in the moments, you just feel like you only know what's happening. You know what I mean? Your brain kind of just throws away any logic and is just like, oh, this is right now what's happening is what's happening. You know. So like, and when this happened, I was like in the middle of nowhere. Like I was in the middle of Connecticut. Like nobody was near me. I had none of my family with me. And I was freaking out. I was on the phone with my girlfriend the whole time, and I was just like, yo, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I don't know if I'm gonna get through this. I really thought I was gonna die right there too. And before that, I had a panic attack while I had COVID. That was another crazy one. I couldn't really confide in anybody because I had COVID, so I couldn't touch nobody. Like I was just there, and I had to get through it by myself. And, like even on a daily basis, I still get anxious. I still feel, those feelings you get when you're anxious. Like sometimes like at night, I can't really sleep because, I'm just always like worried about like my heartbeat, or like sometimes I get headaches and I freak myself out and think something's wrong with me because my head's hurting. And it's just like that on a daily basis. And it's crazy that like this is the thing that I had to learn about anxiety is that it's just all mental. Like it's literally just in your head. You're in your head the whole time. And I'm starting to learn more and more about it as time goes on. When it first started happening to me, I was very like damn, like I wish I could go back to my old self, like because I've never really like I've had like we all have anxiety, you know what I'm saying? Like if a test is coming up, we get like anxious, or like if we did something bad as a kid and we were scared if like our parents are gonna find out or something, you know what I mean? Like so like obviously like we've all dealt with it before, but we've never like to this level where like you start to physically feel these things because of your mind and how it works is just insane to me. And I've never really dealt with things like that until this year. Like people will always be like, "Oh, my anxiety this, my anxiety that," and they don't really understand how like people with like I don't want to say real anxiety, but like people that really have this issue, it affects our daily lives. Like I can't like when I first started doing like having this anxiety, I couldn't do things that I used to. I had to ease into these things. Like I still can't take long drives anymore because I'm scared I'm gonna have another panic attack. It's happened to me like 5 times already. I had one the other day. Like, and it's the same feeling. It's the numbness, the anxious, the heart beating, the sweating. It's like it just takes over your whole body, and you can't really do anything about it in the moment, And And like I said, it's just all mental, man. And like I was so focused on like trying to get back to my old self and trying to like just dwelling on the fact that I had anxiety, you know, like dwelling on the fact that like I couldn't do anything about it. And I had to realize like, you know, like this is a lifelong battle. This isn't going anywhere. This is now a part of who I am. And it's very hard to accept that. I literally I've been self-reflecting for months now. And like trying different things, you know, I do like the guided meditations at night, and I'm looking for a therapist now to help me out and just to talk to somebody about it. Real quick, by the way, therapy. There's no. I want people to understand if you really have these issues and like you really want to see somebody, don't be afraid to see a therapist. I think everybody should see a therapist. Like not even just people with mental health issues, not even people, just everybody should see a therapist, because it's not a bad thing to want to talk to somebody, like especially somebody like a therapist that talks to people for a living, like they do this for a living. They know what they're saying, and they could honestly help you. They could make you see things that you never really thought of. There's things in our subconscious that we really don't even realize until we start speaking about it. You know, like you'll just start talking and all of a sudden you'll say something and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was bothering me, you know, and it could be very beneficial to anybody, you know. So like I'm in the process of looking for a therapist. I actually have a consultation this Friday. But like, yeah, I encourage people. Every time I speak to people that have gone to therapy, it's always the same. They're always like, yo, it changed my life. Like please go see a therapist. Like I want, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think everybody should go see a therapist. If you really suffer from these issues, then I urge you to find a therapist. Like you should just look into it. I know therapy is very expensive. I've done my own research and I know how it is. I know there's certain websites that you can look. There's like clinics, especially like if you live in the New York area. I'm not too sure about like other states, but there's websites that you can look up that offer free therapy if you want, like clinics and stuff. So like I'm gonna look it up and put it in the description. That way people know what I'm talking about. That way I just don't seem crazy. But definitely urge people to see a therapist. But yeah, but like I said, I'm like in the process of looking for a therapist. And you know, like I've been doing things differently. You know, like I try to stay like it just to help my anxiety and help my mental health in general, because there's a lot of things that affect our mental health on a daily basis that we don't even realize. Like I'm definitely gonna not in this episode, but I'm gonna talk about like how relationships affect it, how social media, relationships with like not even just like boyfriend girlfriend, but like your parents and your friends, like this all has an impact on you and your mental health, and you might not realize it, but it does. And I also want to throw out a disclaimer, like I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed professional. I'm just someone that wants to help the community, and tell their story, and just, you know, and open the floor to people that have this same issue, and tell them and let you guys know that you are not alone, that we are all in this together and we're going to get through it together. But yeah, I'm getting off track. But yeah, like I said, like I've kind of come to, like, I've accepted the fact that I have anxiety and the fact that there's nothing I can do about it at this point. So the only thing I can do is, you know, live. I can't let my anxiety keep me from living. I couldn't go out. I had a party at my house a month ago, and after like an hour of being in my own home, like I had to go upstairs because my anxiety was through the roof. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't, like I said, I can't drive. I can't do long distance drives anymore because I'm afraid I might have a panic attack. Um, Even when I'm at work, I used to. I don't do it anymore. I try not to, at least. But I used to. I have an Apple Watch, so I used to check my heart rate like every 5 seconds. to make sure like it was at a normal rate. And if it wasn't at a normal rate, if it was like above like let's say it was like a 110, like I'd freak out. I'd have to get up and go outside and like take deep breaths, and it's crazy. And like the more I explain it, the more like I realize like it's such like an issue, and like people don't speak about it enough, and people don't take it seriously. That's the main thing. People do not take mental health serious. And it's like people like I didn't, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, I didn't either. I didn't know these were the things that people went through that had like these issues, like anxiety, I even almost like there was one day like I felt really, really depressed, like more than I ever did in my life, because I had anxiety, and because all I can think about was how this changed my life, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I can't do things that I used to do. I can't go out anymore. I can't drive anywhere anymore. I can't do things that I used to do because I have this anxiety, and it kind of put me in a tough position. And I was just like, wow. And I when I came to that realization, like it made me like sad. It made me sad. It made me frustrated, and I was upset. And like I literally, like, my friends were like, yo, come out. And I was like, nah, I'm not going anywhere. I stood home, and I literally just stood in bed. And I've never felt like that in my life before. And I literally had to snap myself back out of it and tell myself like, yo, listen, you're going to be fine. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. Like we're going to be fine. I know like it's hard to think that. I know it's tough, but like these feelings that we get when we have anxiety, they're only temporary. It's only in the moment, and then we're fine after. And I know personally, I get really shaken. I don't know how to pronounce things. I get really shaken, I guess, or shooketh. You get the point. Like I get really like afraid after I have like an episode, like after I have like that whole panic attack, and like the numbness, and like, yo, like it leaves you like exhausted and afraid, like I'm just sitting there, and all I could think about is why did this happen? How did it happen? What am I doing that's leading up to this? Why can't I go back to my old self? Why am I dealing with this? Those are just things that I'm thinking in a moment, and it's like I'm trying to learn that, like, listen, and also like I'm in it with you guys. Like I said, I just started having these attacks this year. I just started having like this kind of anxiety this year, and it's affected me so much that I wanted to create this podcast. Like I wanted to do this, because I know people have gone through this for years and years, even if it's only been a month or a day or 10 years or whatever. I know people go through this. I know I'm not alone on this, and I want people to know that they're also not alone, And I'm still learning. I'm still doing things. I'm still trying things out. I'm still trying to figure out what works for me. I don't know what works for me yet. I've done things differently. I've tried new things. Sometimes things work, sometimes things doesn't, And that's what it is, really. Like I know when I have an episode, I get mad at myself. And I'm like, yo, I was doing so good. Why did I let this happen to me? Why can't it stop? And like at the end of the day, you're doing your best. Like you're doing your absolute best. Just getting up out of your bed in the morning is amazing. Just breathing air is amazing. Like there's people out there that, unfortunately they can't, and just getting up out of your bed and being motivated, going to work, doing what you got to do, whatever it is you do is amazing, and people have to look at it differently. Like I stopped like worrying and dwelling on the fact that I have these attacks and have this anxiety, and just accepted the fact that I have it, once I did that, like my quality of life, I promise you, has gone up so much. I do things now. I go out with my friends now. I have a good time. I don't let it control me, you know. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's because it's still it's just like knocking at the back of your head. It's like, hey, I'm still here. Like I could still fuck you up, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's hard to just ignore it and just be like, nah, like I'm good. You know, especially like sometimes I'll get like these little spasms in my chest, or sometimes I might feel my leg go numb, or like I might feel like my head hurt or whatever it is. And it triggers it. It triggers my anxiety. Anything triggers it. And I have to just like take a deep breath and just center myself and just be like, yo, listen, like you're good. You're fine. This is just your mind playing tricks on you. That's all it is, man. It's your mind just playing tricks on you. So when you have these attacks, when you have this anxiety, when you go through these things, just remember that they're temporary feelings. They're temporary, and you're going to be fine. And I promise you, just accept it. That's the best advice I can give anybody that goes through these things. Accept it. You have anxiety. It's fine. That doesn't make you any different from anybody else. That just means that you have anxiety. You're more sensitive to certain things. It's fine. It's fine. That's not a bad thing. You know? You might have to do things differently than everybody else, but that's fine. Take the time to understand it. Don't be mad at it. Just listen to what your body is telling you. Listen to what your mind is telling you. Take the time to understand it. Really sit with it, reflect, and then move appropriately, you know? I started I can't sleep at night, so I started taking melatonin, which is, I don't recommend it because obviously you shouldn't be taking supplements to sleep. I'm just doing it now so that way I can sleep in the future better. Because my anxiety really, now, like I've realized now my anxiety really peaks at night when I'm trying to sleep. So I have to put myself to sleep forcibly. It sucks. But I use my air purifier. I put the whatchamacallit, the peppermint oil, the peppermint essential oil in. Peppermint's supposed to like make you feel calmer. So I put the peppermint in. I might put like sounds just to help me fall asleep. Like I use like the Chinese singing bowl videos on YouTube or whatever. I try to not take naps. I know my friends are fucking laughing at me right now because they're like, he's lying. But I promise you, I'm trying not to take naps. I usually during the week when I got out of work, I don't take a nap. Because it delays me from sleeping. And like I said, I'm trying to see a therapist. There's a lot I want to talk about because there's just things I still don't understand anything. I don't understand why I get anxiety. I spoke to my doctor about it. She told me that the science, there's really no science behind it. Your body just releases this adrenaline, and once you feel this adrenaline, your heart starts to pump and you start to freak out, whatever, because you're not really, especially when like you're not doing anything and you're not putting it towards something. It's just there and you have to get it out somehow. So it just manifests itself into like this feeling, and that's why you feel numb, and that's why you feel all these things, because it's this adrenaline that's pumping through your body for no reason. You know, at least that's what like I understand from it. Like I could I don't really know much anything more about it. I got to do more research on that. But yeah, that's pretty much like my story and like what I go through on a daily basis. I'm definitely going to talk about more things. Like I said, I'm going to talk about like relationships, how they affect mental health and social media and all these different things. I want to have guests on the podcast. You do not have to come up to the podcast. You don't even have to say who you are. I could literally call you and you could be on the podcast anonymously if you want. But like I said, I want this to be a safe space for people that have anxiety, panic, whatever mental health issues that you are going through, this is safe for you. This podcast, this space, it's safe. I promise. This is what I created it for. I just want people to understand that they are not alone. And if I could just reach out and let people know, hey, listen, like, I'm with you on this, that I go through the same thing you go through. We are not different, and I think the hardest part about dealing with anxiety is feeling alone. When I first started going through this, feeling alone was the worst. And it's not, I'm not talking about like not having a support system, because I do have an amazing support system. My friends and my family support me to the fullest extent, I'm telling you. It's not that. It's feeling like I'm the only one that's going through this. When I meet people that go through anxiety and go through these things, it makes me feel so good, because I'm just like, wow, I could talk to you about these things and you understand what I'm saying. Like, you can relate. And I know that's not a good thing, but it's just like, it's comforting to know that I'm not the only one. And I want people to feel that way when they watch this. Like, hey, I'm not the only one that's going through this. There's people out there that go through the same thing as me. I just want people to understand, like, hey, I'm in it too, bro. You're not the only one. So yeah, I want people to tell their story. You trust me, you have the right to say whatever you want. And I know it's hard for people to express how they feel when it comes to mental health and comes to their anxiety and depression and whatever it is. But like I said, this is a safe space. This is safe. No judgment, no hate, no nothing. And if you hate, get the fuck out. Like, straight up. But yeah, I want people to understand, like this is where I want it to be, So yeah, if you ever feel like you want to be on, let me know. I'm going to try to reach out to some people. Like I said, you don't even have to come up. If you want to come up, you're more than welcome. If you don't want to, and you just want to be on the phone, that's fine. You don't even have to say your name. You could just call me. I could put you on. We could talk about these things. Like I said, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed professional. I just know what I go through. And I know if I tell my story, at least I hope if I tell my story, it'll help people. That's my main goal, to help people. But yeah, thank you for listening, guys. This is the first of many. Trust me. I got like a bunch of things planned for this podcast. I want to make a difference with this. I want people to understand that they're not alone, like I said. But yeah, thank you for listening, and tune in next time. Deuces.